We're 24 hours removed from one of the biggest decisions our country has come against in quite some time. And I wanted to take my time and share my thoughts. Let's have a little heart-to-heart. All right, so I want to take a quick minute. It's been a while since I've done a heart-to-heart, RTD quick take, and want to share some thoughts. One of the community members reached out to me on Twitter and mentioned about them anticipating me having done a emergency live stream yesterday, but didn't want to do that just because outside of the two videos I did yesterday, focusing on the monetary side of things, I was going to hold off on sharing my personal opinions on yesterday's ruling of overturning Roe vs. Wade, just because it's not wise to get engaged in a very emotional and confrontational topics and in the same day that that type of information is given out. So typically the best format is to give it 24 hours, let people calm down slightly, and then you can have more of a rational dialogue with people. So that's what I want to try to do today a little bit. But more importantly, share my thoughts and help people see beyond the noise, as I say. If you guys want to see more content like this, definitely, make sure you guys leave a comment as well as hit that thumbs up button, as I mentioned last couple of days, and so have more news as well as far as the direction of the channel, given the crackdown that we're experiencing right now from the government as well in collaboration with the media. And so there's a lot of changes taking place, and I'm going to share my thoughts as to why it's time to diversify off of YouTube and just branch out and try to grow and just focus more so on the individuals that receive the most value from RTD. But here we are now, 2 years into the turning point for humanity. So if you've been a part of the channel for any length of time, I've been talking about events that we would see as our constitutional republic is deliberately brought down. And so 3 primary topics I'm going to touch on today are relevant to the bigger picture. So let's eliminate our emotions, our feelings, our own opinion on things, and let's focus on facts and truth. And of course, for those that are part of the community, truth, the measuring stick or the way to gauge truth for me personally is to compare it or to weigh it up against Scripture, because Scripture is the best determinant of distinguishing between the truth and a lie. And when I say truth, I'm referring to something sound, principally, with high moral standards, righteous, and that magnitude there. And of course, a lie comes from the primary creators of it, which happens to be the enemy itself, utilizing our government and media to promote agendas and propaganda that people unfortunately fall victim to. And this event here happens to be one of them. And so I actually put out my thoughts on Telegram, as well as I tagged, put it on my Facebook. And it's one of those things where it's not actually condoning or going against the decision made yesterday, but it's more so straight up the middle. Let's just focus on why Roe vs. Wade was overturned at the same time, on top of the other 2 extremely important issues, all relevant to how our government is trying to dictate and to basically infringe upon our inalienable rights given to us by our Creator. And so the very first one, before I get to Roe vs. Wade, just so I can lay a foundation so that everybody can understand, it's the ongoing attack against free speech. And this plays into why, when it comes to sharing content such as this, is information, but yet in this transition into this globalist agenda, the goal is to censor and to limit truth from being spoken so that the primary propaganda media can have their way with people's minds. And so, attack against free speech. First Amendment is under severe attack, and the best way of looking at how it's being attacked is it being categorized to mis or dis information. And so we got former presidents such as Obama.
Steps to detoxify our discourse, particularly the scourge of disinformation and conspiracy theories and hate online that has polluted our political discourse.
Coming out talking about how the concerns of disinformation is increasing, and so it just lays the foundation for the government to then step in further, limiting what people can and can't say when they're just sharing their thoughts and opinions on subject matter that impacts their lives. So that's the very first one. And so because of the incoming threat, censorship has already been a problem, especially for RTD on YouTube. Just the fact that, you know, we got 36,000 or so in the community, but yet only maybe less than 5% actually get notified or actually get a chance to see my videos and live streams. That is an ultimate form of censorship, and it comes in the form of the algorithms. I can't beat the algorithms. The algorithms are set up to push unimportant things and keep people distracted and let them see what is trendy rather than what's most important. So RTD, the viewership has been decreasing severely over the last year or so, and so that plays into why I'm going to be adding more to the channel. And of course, I'll get to that at the very end of this, so stick around, because I definitely want to make sure everyone here is able to plug in, because within the next 6 to 12 months, anybody who talks about financial matters will probably be even heavily censored even more, or the channels will be removed. And I can share my thoughts on that as well, but I just sense that in my gut, so it's time to just put that out there in the air. But the very first attack, freedom of speech, censorship, disinformation. If anybody speaks truth counter to the mainstream narratives, you're labeled as conspiracy theorist or tinfoil hatter or whatever, and then your channel and your information platforms, if they're centrally controlled, gets some strikes. The second one, how convenient is it that we now have concerns over firearms? So freedom of speech, Second Amendment, the right to bear arms. We've had two very controversial events that took place over the last couple weeks. How coincidental is that this two mass events occur where lives were lost? Never take for granted the loss of a life, but then again, how important is life overall to our government and to the courts, to where now is the time to address that when it comes to bodily autonomy, which happens to be the third point I'm going to touch on when it comes to this Roe versus Wade. And so between the right to free speech, the right to bear arms, and now we have bodily autonomy, which is the primary subject matter, and the reason why, the only reason why Roe versus Wade is a subject matter as of yesterday, because it lays the framework for future discussions on how you can or cannot handle your own affairs with your own body. Now, here's the thing, like, my opinion as to whether or not a woman has a choice or not is irrelevant. I'm not God. I didn't write the book. To me, murder is murder, regardless of whether it's, you know, at the time of conception or when you go into a grocery store with an armed weapon and you decide to take mass lives. Anytime a human soul leaves the body, it's wrong, especially if it's done by another individual. So let's just lay that at the foundation. Regardless of how it came about, accident or not, on average, most people tend to lay down and conceive rather than something being harmfully done to them where it's taken and life comes about from that way. But even still, with God, God is able to take mistakes and turn them into blessings. But then again, you gotta be careful when you say that to certain people, because their feelings get involved and things seem to change. And so here we are now, 24 hours removed from the biggest decision that has happened to this country in over 50 years. And all of a sudden, the Supreme Courts seem to care about human life, when human life has been important from day one. Whether it's black, yellow, red, blue, there's lives being lost all over this planet, especially in the continent of Africa. And all of a sudden now, here in the US, people are so emotional and caught up in their feelings about a choice. We all have choice, but unfortunately, government is stepping in between our choice and trying to tell us and steer us with a narrative. But I want to let you guys know the reason why I decided to make this, because I didn't want to talk emotions or feelings. Let's talk truth. Let's talk, principles. Let's talk morality, what our country lacks. And all of a sudden now, the Supreme Court seems to care about human life. At the same time, freedom of speech and the right to bear arms and all the other things that are taking place happens to be occurring at the same time. But if you've been a part of the community, I remember mentioning this maybe 2 or 3 years ago, saying how as time moves forward and the economic conditions deteriorate, you have to begin having the type of discussions and dialogue created to be able to reform our Constitution. Everything we're experiencing now is about rebranding, reforming the Constitution so that they can take us to that point where the government is authority figure in what you can and can't do with your own body. So in response to the community member that mentioned about me doing a live stream because of this emergency situation, I didn't do that, but I did share a tweet, which I will share here, and I'll actually put it up on screen so you guys can see it. But this tweet here is in reference to a comment that I saw on Geo and Politics Telegram page. Shout out to you, my friend. And it has to do with Taylor Hudak. Not even sure who that is. But I just read through that, and her tweet that was screen capture said, reintroducing two hot button issues into the media, Second Amendment and Roe vs. Wade, is a great way to shift the focus away from the consequences of the disastrous policies / mandates implemented during the past 2 years, which is 100% accurate, but it goes much deeper. And this happens to go towards the bigger agenda and the bigger picture that I want people to focus on. Lessen the emotions, lessen your feelings, even dismiss the frame of reference that you're using that's being placated on by the mainstream media. Let's look away from that, because that's the part of the noise. This is propaganda at its best, all intended to do one particular thing. And this situation yesterday is all about setting a precedent for future cases on how the government can respond when it comes to national emergencies, on how and what you can and cannot do with your body. That's what this is all about. So my response that I put out there seemed to get some interest from people, as far as people resharing it, as well as having some thoughts to share as well. I said, just sweet and simple, and this statement to me should just leave this at rest, and let's build on bigger topics, which is our tyrannical government using everything they can to create a narrative so that they can strip away your inalienable rights, so that they can come in and be the mediator between what you're able to do and what you can't do, and then tell you directly what they want you to do as this great reset agenda moves forward. I said, today sets the precedent for future talks about bodily autonomy when it comes to mandatory experimentation. People don't recognize how they are being set up for something much bigger. And then on other platforms, I'll share more thoughts. But it's all a setup. It's designed to stir up emotions, to cause division. And in doing so, it will cause people to pick a side. The right, the left, woman's choice, God's desire. So you're going to have people go back and forth. Even in the religious community, people are now lashing out at pastors. Even my pastor, people are very emotional. And it's coming from, the female side of things. But I understand. So I'm not able to tell you how, what, where with your own body. That's between you and God. But then let's not let the government get involved and say what you can and cannot. And if I had a choice, because our country all of a sudden just didn't find Jesus and come to God type of moment, to where all of a sudden now the courts care about human life. This is all designed and it's all planned. And so personally, it probably would have been best had Roe vs. Wade not been overturned and things would have remained as they are, so that moving forward, once this next event occurs, the government wouldn't have much of a constitutional footing to be able to argue that your body doesn't belong to you. And it's in our best interest as a nation to tell you what you can and can't do. But I'll leave it at that. But anyway, the bigger picture is it's all about bodily autonomy when it came to yesterday's decision. Hopefully you guys can see that. Take this video, share it, so people can understand that it's not about your own opinions and things like that. That's irrelevant. It's all about getting you to turn against other people, causing division, setting a framework for a future event, as we were told in this clip.
At least this year, we do need more money, but we don't just need more money for vaccines for children eventually. We need more money to plan for the second pandemic. There's going to be another pandemic. We have to think ahead. And that's not something the last outfit did very well. That's something we've been doing fairly well. That's why we need the money. Thank you all.
That there would be a second event coming, and at that time, they're going to have all the legal grounding they need to argue that it's time for people to be required to do certain things, if you know what I mean. But anyway, so last thing here before I end. As I mentioned, starting off, due to the first one, freedom of speech, the categorization of mis and dis information moving forward will ramp up as financial conditions continue to deteriorate, which they are. We will not get out of the end of this year before, in my opinion, some event of some kind happens, and the narrative that they're going to want to play and promote will be the excuse that they give for the economy collapsing. Therefore, all channels, all my other YouTube creators out there, if you speak truth, in relevance to how this system is so monetarily bankrupt and insolvent and all those things, your channel, your platforms will come under heavy scrutiny. So get ahead of that. So that's what I'm trying to do. So my long story short, link below for the RTD Locals page, where I'm going to end up July 4th starting the late night live streams on that platform. So it opens me up to be able to talk and share my true feelings rather than having to concern myself with the algos on this current platform you're watching this at. So what I'm going to do is simply, I encourage everybody here, I'm going to try in the next week before I start officially on there, get as many people to become members, which gives you an opportunity to be a part of the community. And the best part is I'll have more control of my data to where I can reach you directly. You'll get every notification and you can plug in real time and still have the same engagement as you do on YouTube. And then the goal is to be able to have my members who really want to support me, really vibing with me, to become supporters so that I can start doing more. Like, I want to be able to get some help on the back end so I can focus on delivering messages rather than scripting, copyright, video editing, publishing, marketing. That's 5 or 6 jobs I would like to be able to put in the hands of other people who have skills. So I'm looking for help in the community. But on top of that, to get the best, you got to be able to spend some money to do that. So by backing me, becoming a supporter of Monetarily Speaking, it allowed me to hire some people so I can really focus on pure content 24/7. So rtd.locals.com, sign up there, become a member. Starting the 7th or the 4th of July, I'm going to start streaming live. And yeah, it's going to be truthful, man. I'm going to lay it out there. I'm going to do more videos there because I can speak freely. I'm going to open up the interviews to non-financial topics, to where I'm going to interview people in the medical space as well as the decentralized space, because people need to find out the other side of all the pros and all the benefits to that space as well. So anyway, this is a long-winded rant, but hopefully you guys found some value here. Hit the thumbs up button. Please share this video so people can get plugged in. Go sign up for the rtd.locals.com page. Link is in the description. Join me over there, and let's continue to press forward, man, because things are changing and we're entering into a whole new world. And you know, there's still a lot of people out there that need to be informed and woken up and have the good news given to them, which is, as you guys know, Jesus Christ saves. And let's just ride out with that.